Hey, what's up? It's Singano here, talking about navigating my life in my 30s. So, this channel is going to be dedicated to different discussion topics on how I'm trying to get more clarity on my career, in general, life, relationships, and basically everything in between that you could think of. And so, hope you follow along as I talk through what I'm learning, what I've learned in the past, and the overall goal is that you learn something, I learn something in the process of doing this, and we have this overall knowledge sharing. So, I decided to start a new little segment for my channel called My Weekly Learning. So, this is the initial one. So, welcome to my weekly learning. And the idea of this came up with how I've been just noticing week by week the things that I'm seeking out in terms of information, um, podcasts I'm hearing, books I'm reading, and seeing things just reflect in real life and being able to practice what I'm learning has been really cool to see. So I wanted just to talk about, that weekly for y'all. So for this week, I wanted to talk about a situation about me taking a dance class. So, with this dance class, I am not a trained dancer, have never been a trained dancer, but I like the idea of taking dance classes, specifically choreography, hip hop classes. So, I haven't been taking them in a while. I think it's been over a year since I've taken a class. And so I decided to go to the studio that is pretty close to my house and, you know, take a class here and there and kind of get back into it. And this one day, I was feeling pretty 50-50 about going to class. It's been a long week, but I just sucked it up and I just thought, let me just do this class because it's a new teacher. Haven't taken her class before. Would love to see what that has in store. So go to class, and class starts off, and it is basically, they state it's going to be a freestyle class. So I'm not learning choreography. We're going to freestyle for an hour and a half. Initial thoughts, I immediately started sweating because freestyle and me, I could not see that working out. Given the fact I am not a dancer, that was my initial thought. And two, how am I supposed to freestyle for an hour and a half? I was just already freaking out. And I remember the three initial thoughts in my head was, one, I don't know what I'm doing. Two, people are gonna make fun of me. Three, I'm gonna feel so embarrassed. Like those were the three thoughts in my mind. And something that I have talked about previously in my videos is the idea of breaking down your fear. So when this situation came up, when that was said in the beginning of the class that was the expectation, this part of me wanted to just run away from the class and not do this because I just could not imagine me doing it. But another part of me was really challenging myself to think about it more, like, what am I afraid of, right? So the three things I called out. So the first being uncertainty. Me not knowing what I'm doing. I'm not a dancer. And when I thought about this idea, I really thought about the fact that this is a freestyle class. No one knows what they're doing. So if no one else knows what they're doing, I don't know what I'm doing, and that is fine. So that was kind of the first thought process that came up with that first fear of just uncertainty because we were all in the same boat. And yeah, there's nothing to be prepared for because, again, it was a freestyle class. So with the structure of the class, we basically had segments where we had to incorporate only do fluid movements or only do hard movements or only use your hands. So it was definitely somewhat structured in how we did different segments, but in how you're moving your body, free game and all. So my second fear was that people are going to make fun of me. And as this class started, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna go for it because I'm gonna commit to this situation. And there were portions of the class where we had to interact with other people in the dance class. And the idea of this was we were trying to feed off each other. So if someone was dancing, you wanted to have someone be the leader, someone to follow, vice versa, and just really be in sync in a way where you're understanding different movements. And in those scenarios, the different people who I interacted with, I could not sense that people are making fun of me because we are reading off each other. And so as I started having more interactions, that idea just honestly started going away because the more I was interacting with people, the more I felt comfortable. And if the people thought like they were making fun of me, I wouldn't have known. So at that point, I really let that one go because of just how I was able to take the situation and be able to really interact with different people. And then the third one was the idea of me being embarrassed. So the last portion of the class, so we made it through basically an hour of doing the different techniques, feeding off each other with different people. And the last portion of the class was freestyling in groups of 5. So we each go one by one, but being filmed. And so honestly, that was the final push for me, thinking, wow, you really signed up for something that you did not know what was going to happen. So with the last segment of the class, like I mentioned, we were groups of 5, and each group had their own song, and we all didn't know what song we got, so you just had to hear it and start doing your freestyle. I was the last group of 5, and I just remember thinking, at this point, I've done so much in this class where if I've embarrassed myself, it's long gone, and this is the finale. We've made it. And something that really came to mind to me in that moment was I'm having the opportunity right now to dance in a really cool dance studio in LA. I have the opportunity to be filmed and get footage of me doing a freestyle, and I'm in Los Angeles doing this at a really cool studio, and that's not something that's just done anywhere. And having a teacher who is really supportive in the process. So with those thoughts, I thought I would regret this if I don't see this through. Don't get me wrong, I was still nervous. I'm not gonna lie, but just the idea of just the environment I was in and the opportunity that I saw, I went for that last freestyle, and it was way better than I thought. Granted, I was still nervous, but it was just fun to be able to get out of my comfort zone. The class in general was supportive. People were rooting for me, and that was just the environment throughout. So the idea of how I was really putting pressure on what people were thinking, how I would be perceived, that was just very much just out the window once I was able to be in the situation, not taking myself out of it, and then really just being in that environment where people were supportive. And it was just really cool to really challenge that for myself. And I feel like the only way that could have been a situation where I regretted it is if someone came up to me and told me, you look silly, you look dumb, aren't you embarrassed? And that didn't happen. And if that did happen, I don't even know what I would do. Like, I just feel like I'd be like, okay, that's your opinion. Because at that point of how the class had gone, it was just such a different environment that we all were in this together. And why would you do that to someone? So anyways, my weekly learning was I was not prepared to be in a situation, and I had this fear that I had to really face head on and really see it through. And I was able to break down that fear bit by bit through the different thoughts that I had, and I had a great positive experience at the end of the day. So yeah, that's my weekly learning. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Have you ever had a situation where you were put in something you were not expecting, or signed up for something you didn't know was going to happen? I would love to hear that too. But yeah, I would love to hear your comments, and see you next time for my weekly learning.